go through all the different work streams and do status updates, and hopefully find out that some of the things can be marked as done. If we need to take a short discussion, we can do that on each stream, but it would be good to reserve like 20 minutes at the end or something to have space for talking about what comes next. If we don't have time for that, let's plan like a more sprint planning meeting for Monday or something, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, how does that sound?
Sounds good.
In that case, the first one out is Mitch, but he's not here. So I guess I can describe it, talk a little bit about what he's been up to. Maybe I should try to find that document. 1 second.
I can share in the
Yeah,
reward system channel. Okay, you got it.
Yeah. So Mitch has been doing a really solid work of putting words to describe the process from here to the first quant. And that aligns with our MVP development of the first version of the new Praise backend. And he has described that process from here to then, because there are some steps that needs to be taken along the road, like getting community approval for our proposed parameters and which will be in the rewards committee, and sort of getting feedback on the overall process as well. But he has been working really great with this. So it's not completely finished yet, but it's almost there, I would say. We have been bouncing a lot of ideas in the comments, and if you have time, please join that discussion before it turns into a proposal, and feel free to add more comments to it. I don't know if there's anything more to say about that. Yeah, I also.
Where's the best place to find that document?
I think
I posted in the reward systems.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there is also one document that I call project resources and description, and I don't think the link is there yet. But that is a good place for finding everything related to this project. But what we also did is I did some sort of infographic that is in line with his descriptions. So that is on the mirror board. So we will attach that to any proposal we make or any document, or yeah. Welcome, Mitch.
Hey guys.
I'm speaking on your behalf now about the rewards process.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. My internet's been pretty bad lately.
I just described what you have been doing, and that we have had a good discussion in the comments, etc., and that I've made an infographic also trying to sync with your document. So what are next steps for that? When will this be a proposal live on the forum? Or
I want to have a proposal by the end of today. End of
nice.
my today. So I'd like to, if you have any feedback before that, please do it like now, basically. And I'm going to put together something formal. And the only reason that I want it done so quickly is to meet our deadline, which is to have it done in, 6-7 weeks, Christopher?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like we've got a pretty good idea, but of course, more input
Yeah, sounds great. So everyone, head over to that document if you have time after the meeting, and post any comments. So let's move on to next stream, which is the rules of praise and quantification. Liv, do you have something?
Yeah. So for the rules of quantification, we had a call this week, Mitch and I, and we were brainstorming a little bit, and I think we got to an interesting place that is, I posted in the reward process description, but that the praise data would be clustered by contributors and anonymized for quantification. So that would fix a few problems. One, we were thinking it would be great if if in the time of the quantification, we didn't have names. So the value could be attached to the action and not to the person. But then we thought, oh, sometimes it is relevant to know that is the person because you get so much more information from there. But since we're trying to bring more new people to the quantification and in an effort of being more transparent and fair, if we have more descriptive praise, then it would be easier for quantifiers. But then I was thinking, what if there's a lot of double praise? Like that happened a lot with Zaptimus, for example, that he was praised multiple times by recording the calls. And then from there, we have multiple signals. Like one, should, like he was praised so many times that that there is a huge signal of how valuable it is what he's doing. So maybe he should receive like something for all of those praises, or was he praised by accident multiple times because someone didn't see that he was praised before, or how like we could solve that. So we thought that clustering all of one person's contribution, like one next to the other, then we would have an understanding of how much they are receiving for an action in specific, and how important is that action considering the signal of how many people praised. So yeah, that is the direction we thought for quantification.
Can I just so are we going to keep people's names in the let me just say I feel like one of the really important things about praise is this like ability to have decentralized updates. And like if you come in and quantify and you get to learn who is doing what, you know, like, oh, this person is doing all this work. Okay, I know I can go to them now. You know, and like there's like this decentralized update approach that are factor. Like I feel like praise has two unique things that other reward systems don't have. And that is decentralized updates from like you know, from the edges, and then real-time acknowledgement. So I feel like removing the names in many ways gets rid of the value of of updating people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think what Livy was
But
mentioning,
I don't.
like we still keep the names, but it's just for the quantifier. Like everyone is seeing all the names and all the action happening, but it's just the 5 or 15, I don't know how many quantifiers we will end up having, and it's just these people, the ones who are not going to see the names, but the rest of the community is going to see everything.
Well, the quantifiers, when you read it, then that's really the way to get updated. Like I don't think most people look at praise in Discord, you know. It's the quantifiers that will basically be paid to get these updates.
Yeah, but I think they would still have an overview of everything that is happening. And I don't think it's so hard to find that type of information of like, oh, someone is working on this thing. How do I know who is working on what? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like we would get more value from having this very like giving value to the task and not to the person. or not to the task, but to what they are being praised for, even being like someone amazing or something.
This is a super important discussion. Could we pause that for now and continue it asynchronously, and then make a decision together on that? I noted the comment, but what I'm also looking for in the rules of the guidelines is, instructions to the quantifiers. How should you? These are the guidelines for quantifying. Is the quantifying only like choosing one number, even if it's a free form number, or we choose have this Fibonacci sequence scale, or how we do it? Is that the only thing you choose for each praise, or is there something else? Is there, you choose also a category? Is there, you do some? We have the possibility of doing something more to better categorize or give the praise a real a good value.
Yeah, I don't think sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to offer something if there's space for it. I didn't want to cut you off though.
No, go ahead.
There's something about Sourcecred where we're using it, where there's like potential, I believe, to capture more data. If you actually have a quantifier or like a metric for like the things you want to capture, or like make a certain value, like maybe a handshake emoji is when people collaborate together, or just using the emojis different, and having somebody who is quantifying, having like a legend even perhaps, and then maybe then it would be possible to see like the graph project out the data separated somehow in those categories. That's something I've been itching forever. I don't know if it's a possibility. I don't know that much about.
Yeah, I think we already we have noted that for like a future thing to explore. How could we use reactions within praise? I think it's definitely out of scope for the first version, because we need to get something ready that is fairly similar to the thing we have. But yeah, definitely.
I just had maybe a quick thought about that. That's actually a really interesting idea, because how the praise bot already puts a check onto received praise, and it could actually maybe add like 2 or 3 other emojis, and then the user could provide more data if they wanted to, which would be just like you were saying, like a handshake or something like that, which would auto categorize it within the system. So the user would have the option to provide more data or not, basically.
I just want to say, Mitch, I like that from a technical standpoint, because we kind of have that infrastructure already from the work that Mohammed did on the praise dataset with the clustering. So it's like an automatic classification. So that'd be pretty cool if it just populated emojis right away.
And then it would be just one more click for the praiser, basically. And they could provide it or not.
Yeah, let's
maybe
continue
that's
exploring
something
that.
Yeah, maybe that's something that just adds information for the quantifier, so they can see like what were the reactions from the community on that already. But I do think that it's good to keep praise without categories. I think it was really hard to categorize when we were doing the praise intervention, and it's so subjective that it's hard to categorize. But then the category is happening by what is being praised and what goes to Sourcecred. Like, this is already kind of a major category. And then just to close on updates on that, Christopher, let me share my screen quick.
I will say it's a nice to have, and maybe for the post MVP we could implement something like that. But that's a really great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Aloysius,
I was trying.
Go ahead.
I was trying
you're getting a lot of feedback from your mic.
No, but Aloysius is muted.
It's Joshua, I think.
Yeah. They just.
Can you see my screen here?
Mute.
Can
Yeah.
Can you see my screen? Cool.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to like look into the praise set. I could look into more, but those were some of the things that were coming up as things that should continue to be praised, that were praising someone for volunteering, for taking initiative, for untangling things, for preparing something, for asking relevant questions, giving direction, listening, giving hard work, commitment, providing information and insights, leadership, being supportive, holding space, being proactive, sharing responsibilities, inviting someone to join, being welcoming, giving valuable inputs, high vibes, being amazing. Like things like this are the bulk of praise, and that I feel like it's really hard to capture in other systems. And then some of the things that can be automated that were also being praised is like producing graphics. How, if this was an issue, this could be captured by Sourcecred. So it's not like the act of producing a graphic that would be praised, but maybe the quality in which they put to produce these graphics. And then tweeting and engaging in the forum and things like that can be automated. So these are the things we need to start looking to not praise anymore. And that will be the hard transition. But the more we move like this understanding that these values are being captured by other tools, I think it will work well. So the two main things that I was thinking that can be like rules for praise somehow is just to be descriptive. So avoiding things like always doing something for all the hard work. Or for example, now there was a lot of praises for the Graviton training. But for example, what in the Graviton training that Juan is being praised for example, for conceptualizing the training, for organizing the structure of the training, for inviting speakers, for preparing the content of it. So I think we've been avoiding these things, and this might be for a lack of information that we have. Like maybe I don't know what Juan did for the training, but I just see that he's there involved with it, so I'll praise him for the training. But how could I get to know more? How could I be more descriptive of the praise and dishing? And maybe this will like long-term incentivize more of this communication, or people that have like more insights about something to bring it up. So I was thinking like this could be the, I think it's good that we don't have so many rules. And then for the quantification, that I really like what you suggested, Christopher, of the Fibonacci sequence. So we wouldn't categorize things, but we would just have like same numbers that people are operating from. And there is a scale of like less relevant, more relevant, less impactful, more impactful, but to the subjectivity of the quantifier.
Just jumping in here, I mean, you just sparked a thought, Libby, was like I mean, in thinking around, like, you're right, not having too many categories, but why not looking at the existing categories, like the working groups? Because you could potentially imagine a system where you're categorizing it, and you could also run reports on like how much praise is happening in working group comms versus gravity versus, whatever. And then you could even take that a step further at some point and sort of look at like budget, so you have certain budgets within, the community could sort of prioritize how much praise they would, they feel is appropriate inside each of those. It doesn't have to be that prescriptive, but it might be relevant data that already exists. So you could sort of have a breakdown in a way that people can quantifiably understand it, because those are the qualitative points, like are more go to the motivation, but it's like thinking around how much praise is being driven in, this working group versus that working group. Maybe just a thought.
It is really tempting to wanting to add more. I'm tempted by that, definitely, because I see for every extra data point we add, our ability to do really cool analysis gets better and better. But at the same time, when moving from one data point, which is the praise weight or praise score, to 2 data points, that is the double amount of work for those quantifying. So I think it's a really fine balance. We need to be really careful when adding stuff. But
Well,
I
I'm
think
just thinking about the emojis. Like it could be linked to the emoji. Like each working group would have an emoji. So if you were going the emoji, I mean, you have to think about what the emoji means, like a definition. Maybe, I mean, if you want to have it so that you could run you could get some analysis. That could be one way to integrate that without adding bureaucracy to it.
Well, I think the easiest way is just tracking what channel it's dished in and not having one praise channel. That being said, I definitely like the idea of keeping the MVP scope narrow and keeping things clean. But I'd put it on the praiser and make them just start saying, hey,
multiple praise channels is really good.
I think Discord developers could probably find a way to read the reactions, and if you had everybody who's a contributor on like some sort of spreadsheet that was broken out by the work groups, they could probably feed the data to it and it would show you who's liking what and where it's going to, like that way. I think about this a lot. I work in Sourcecred and I don't have these skills, but I dream about these things.
Yeah, we also already have a emoji map because every working group in Discord has an emoji on it, so that would be the map already.
I think the emojis on like a single message top out at some point though. I don't know if it gets to like 15 or something like that, probably less than that. But I would just like to say that those are all really nice to haves. And I think once we'll keep it in mind when we build the architecture that like we'll constantly be able to add more data to collect. But I think for the first quant and just for like that initial phase of like getting people to quantify, less might be more useful to us right now.
I had a few thoughts about this. Since they're talking about praise, couldn't we just maybe add a scope to the praise command where you can specify what's the context behind it? I think like instead of using our old like text-based workflow, we could use the new / commands UI from Discord. So it kind of shows you what things you can put in, and we could have like an optional parameter for what's the context here. I could like that could have options like which working group you're related to or something like that. Would that be feasible?
Definitely let's look into that and see if it fits within the scope of the first version and or not. But that is super interesting. Of course, you're putting the weight, some more weight on the people actually doing the praising, because they are more than putting the more load on the quantifiers. I think we need to move on through this agenda. Explore we have made a choice of backend, I think, that we would like to inform about. Rudolf is not here, I think. So then I'll cover for him. And we have had the discussion about going back and forth about a technical platform for the backend, but we have decided to go with Java as a backend because our core developer or our lead backend developer, Rudolf, is really proficient with that platform. It's a stable platform that has been used for many years. It's not the coolest, newest technology, but someone would say that is a good thing as well. And me and Nagan also have some Java experience, and for this MVP, it feels like the right decision. It allows us to move forward really quickly. And then at a later stage, we will probably be wanting to look at moving towards a Web3 backend somehow together with someone. But that is out of scope for this first version, for the MVP, I'd say. So I don't have that much more to say about that. And moving on to the front-end architecture will be there haven't been so much discussion about that. I think everyone is happy with doing a React front-end similar to for the instance that T-Commons website or the params, etc. So that nothing strange there. Sourcecred, Matteo or YYV, maybe you could say something about the Twitter and meeting attendance bots.
So I haven't started working on the Twitter bot, but I did fork the meeting bot. I don't remember the name that we talked about yesterday. I forked that one, and it's working. I think maybe we can deploy it with a little bit more changes. So I don't know, maybe like a day or two, we could like smooth out the details and have something that's easy to use and does the things we need. And like, which channel do we need this to be posted in? Is there like a new channel we'd make for Sourcecred messages or something like that, where people can react and the reactions count as whoever's being mentioned in that message or something like that, the way like the props channels work in OneHive and other stuff.
How did that bot work? Do you need to manually tell it to start tracking a meeting? Is that the case?
No, so Discord throws off an event whenever like someone joins a voice call. But yeah, we'd have to. There's like two ways to go with it. We call a meeting whenever the first person joins a call, and we say it's a meeting until a person leaves the call. Or another way is that we make a manual command for this. Whichever way is more feasible, we could use that.
But it would place the burden on the meeting host to enter a command saying like start tracking this meeting.
And one thing we could do is that since I think we already have a schedule whenever we have our main calls, etc. So for most of the calls, we could just automatically have like a cron job telling the bot when to count things as a meeting or something like that.
It doesn't sound like a bulletproof setup, but maybe it's difficult to know what is a meeting. If it's in the TEC calendar, then it's a meeting.
Yeah. So since we already have like a reminder application, one thing we could do is like make like a copy of our main calendar, and then have that calendar act as the source guide for our bot for reminders as well as tracking meetings. So like whenever it like checks the calendar every X minutes or something like that, and whenever a call starts, it like notes down the time, and it pretty much tracks whoever's entering a voice channel all the time. We just log the data whenever we know that a call is going on right now.
Yeah, cool. So there, to sum it up, there's loads of possibilities of tracking meeting attendance. We will that work is not concluded, but we'll continue with that. And when it comes to the Twitter bot, that is a separate thing that is not yet developed. So that is something we have to look deeper into. How can we track Twitter data? What kind of Twitter data would we like to track? And yeah.
Yeah, so we could have an application that like tracks hashtags and mentions or interactions uh, with our Twitter account. But like from what I've noticed, we could use a tool like Orbit to keep track of that. Uh, I don't know if we'd be open to like using an external tool, but it's somewhat like Sourcecred, but for social platforms, and we could just use it for Twitter. And I think it gives you like an interaction score between the people interacting on your Twitter, etc. And that we could use that, or we could set up our own bot. But like, I'm not sure what are the exact parameters we're looking for. Do we look for like how many likes someone's retweet of our tweet gets, or what exactly are the parameters, and like what exactly do we want the bot to track, and do we like have a hashtag, or what exactly are the boundaries and
Let's do that on Discord in the week to come. Ask around and see what we would like to track. If we start there to identify the different things we would like to track, it's easier to sort of stake out the road how we want to implement it. Yeah, I forgot to mention that Sourcecred was its own heading here, and if I haven't said that, we have. I think we did that before this week, but it has become clear that we need to separate the streams of the praise streams and the Sourcecred streams. So we treat them as two separate projects within the TEC reward system. So for everything that can be automatically quantified, we go with Sourcecred, and everything that cannot be automatically quantified, we go with praise, basically. And and what also needs to be done for praise is for Sourcecred is to make sure that the params are good, and we need to do another dry run before we're doing the real quant. And we need to make sure that everything that we want to cover is covered by Sourcecred, so that we include all the GitHub repositories and that it doesn't miss anything. So that is part of the work that needs to be done during this period until the first quant when it comes to Sourcecred. But Matteo, sorry.
Oh, go ahead about the point with Matteo, and then I'll ask my question after.
Yeah, he has a good idea about configuring the params, and also Sourcecred has offered to assist us a bit with setting params as well.
Yeah, speaking to that, there's that the appendix I made in the process description, and I'm not sure if it's exhaustive because some of these Sourcecred instances, I'm not sure how they work, like as they relate to Twitter and the data that we'll be getting from Alexandra for meeting attendance. So I don't know if that's everything, and maybe somebody who's more familiar with Sourcecred could just fill that out or validate it.
Yeah, I'd say that you and Matteo talk about that. So because we have a set of parameters already for the TEC Sourcecred instance, and then we will add the Twitter data, hopefully, and meeting attendance data, and how that data looks, no one knows yet.
Yeah, I think from what I see in the document, just that Discord meeting part that is from Alexandra, that is under Sourcecred now.
Yeah, and a detail, it's not the Alexandra bot anymore, because
oh no.
I actually had a question related to that. Would we be using Alexandra, or do we want to make our own bot?
Alexandra was for meeting tracking, but what was it to connect with Sourcecred?
No, the idea was that would be a third data set.
Yeah. And
So we're not using Alexandra?
So Alexandra is a very simple bot that just tracks each person's minutes in each voice channel. So for every person in the server, we'll know how many minutes they spent in which voice channel.
So then I'd say we have the option of using Alexandra as a bot to feed data into Sourcecred, also with some tweaks. But this other bot we found was specifically tailored for doing that. But we can look at them both.
What about the people that just, they leave the computer and they are in Discord, but they are doing nothing because the meeting ends, but they just leave the computer and let their
Yeah, exactly. That would be, so Alexandra would not sort of address that.
I kind of envision like the bot having an automatic timeout after an hour. Usually most meetings go for an hour.
If we're like tracking meetings and we can pre-specify meetings like the other bot we were working on, we forked and we might be using that one, is that we'll have like a specific time period for which it logs things. So that I think that can address our concern with respect to that. And another thing we could maybe do, I'm not sure we should do it, is like have a bot in the channel that listens to audio and see who's speaking or not. But I don't know, I think that's slightly invasive.
I just want to throw out the question why, because I'm working on something similar where I'm working, but like why do you want to incentivize meetings? Because actually, in the one I was working on, we actually wanted to say meetings don't count as a criteria because we wanted to disincentivize meetings and only give praise for like the value. So just throwing that out there.
I would say that it's all coordination, and it always has been. And unfortunately, in our meeting culture, like in our remote culture, the only way to really effectively, there's lots of ways to coordinate via chat, but there is a lot of value in like meeting face to face on video. And there's Office, I wouldn't personally on this stuff. I wouldn't try to over prescribe. Like I would try to find a way to monitor outside of the tracking. So like if someone is abusing the system, finding a way to flag them in Discord and say this person's gaming the system, and just like then just remove them, or give them graduated sanctions through a different means, but let the bot manage the bot. Like we have 4-hour hack sessions. I would love to see Octopus is doing office hours, right? And if no one shows up for those office hours, you should still get the praise for doing it,
Mm-hmm. And we have the option to value it however we wish, right?
Yeah.
So we can't just say it's going to be extremely lucrative to just sit in meetings. We might make it so low that you will get rewarded, but like probably not worth the time for you to game the system.
Yeah, definitely. Two different things. Capture is the one thing, and how much we value it is a later question. Should we move on to some wireframes? That was the last issue we had set for this week. And let me just show you a little bit of what I have done. So I have started doing simple wireframes. I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm happy to work with the flow in the application. So for this thing, for instance, is the user activation flow. When you have been dished praise and you need to activate your account, the current proposal is that we, instead of activating on Discord, we provide a link in the activation in the message saying that you have been dished praise, and take the user to the web interface instead, where they log in with their MetaMask wallet and sign a message, and then the account is activated. So that is one of the two main flows actually, because this is a really simple app. So praising and activating your account is like one big thing, and then the other big thing is quantifying, and then there's of course administrative small tasks around that. But what we'll try to keep it really simple in this first iteration. So the second flow would be, you as a quantifier, you log into the web page, you see a list with all the praise, and from there you can move on to doing the quantification. I didn't finish that one before the meeting. Something along those lines. Perhaps we should add a graphic wizard to the team. Maybe that would be good, even if we try to keep it really simple.
Do you think there would be somebody in General Magic?
I think Acid Laser has the most bandwidth, honestly. I'm sure he would love the support.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking this whole thing will be more of a snapshot-looking thing, so a quite white, simple tool rather than something that is super TEC branded, because we want to be able to use it easy also with other communities as well.
So are you looking for UX graphics, or are you looking for like UI design?
More UI design is giving us choosing a font, setting a color scale, saying you should have rounded buttons or square buttons, or having so we can have something to lean against.
That might be more Rodri than Acid Laser. I don't know. Ask them both and see. But I know Rodri does more UI. Chewy, do you know Acid Laser? Does he do a lot of UI design, or is it mostly just graphics?
Oh, it's mostly graphics. He doesn't have experience in UI, but I know that he's been doing some reads the past week because he's interested in the field. But I don't know if it's gonna be like enough for this stage. But I can ask him, and if he feels confident enough, I can put him in touch.
It could be a good learning opportunity for him.
I've been working with Rodri on the onboarding dashboard, but again, it's not critical for the CU. This is, so I'll ask Rodri. He told me he has experience on the front end and the exact things that we need. So I'll contact him and see if he's available for this.
Cool, thanks. And also on the topic of front end and wireframes and front end development, I'd like to introduce Striker as a joined us to help out with the front end development. Striker, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey guys. I've been talking with Christopher today, as well as this week about. This is really the very beginnings of what the front end is going to look like, I guess. But we moved the repo today, so I just cloned it just now and did a yarn install, and gave me a little rough outline of a login page and what the page wants to look like once you log in. So yeah, it's like a nice big ball of clay, and you're going to start shaping it into something. So yeah, I've got it all sitting here ready, and just want some colors, some palettes, and yeah, pretty much just like colors and stuff is just kind of the interest that I have. But other than that, I'm glad to be here, and and I think I gave a chat to Nugan earlier about this whole front end project. So thanks to him for bringing me here, and cool. Hi.
Thanks. Glad to have you on board. So we have
a question about your wireframes. Are we going to have any sort of UI for the rewards DAO committee to analyze the information?
Yes, and maybe. When I drew the process earlier today, I did it like this. So in the left-hand stream is praise with the raw praise data, the manual quantification, and then we calculate the rewards. But I added this step outside of praise for now. I don't know if we will have time to do an UI for the manual, the validation step as well. It
Right.
could be
So-
it could be quite complicated depending on how what we would like the reviewers to be able to do. Should they be able to add and edit, individual praise scores, etc.? Should they be able to recalculate the whole distribution? So it could be quite complicated, that step.
At the bare minimum, they should have a place where they can see the whole token distribution,
Yeah.
Because that's the point. So whether or not they can edit it or not, like maybe we still need to figure out like what the power is given to this sub DAO, but they need a way to be able to interface with the data that we're collecting, even as simply as viewing it. And secondly, to that point, how will we be able to actually do the blockchain part, like the interfacing? So collecting the data and then distributing tokens.
Yeah. No, my proposal just now is to have a cautious approach to this and to be sure that we are finished on time and let both Praise and Sourcecred export their data back actually into a Google spreadsheet again. And in that spreadsheet, you do the validation, and you also do the calculate the token allocations. And from there, you need to be able to export that into in a data format that the DAO can accept and then distribute.
Yeah, the DAO takes the CVS sheets, so we would just have it. It's very simple, that part, actually.
Yeah, that was my guess.
And then who sends? And then the DAO itself just like literally manually sends out transactions.
Not manual. I mean, all the addresses will be there, and then that is one single proposal. And then when that proposal is approved, then all of the addresses receive the distribution.
But
one vote for all distribution, max 2.
Right. And then the agent does it in the DAO, or who actually sends it?
Yeah, the DAO does it.
Yeah, the agent. I would assume it would be an agent, and it might be like the agent interacting with Disperse app, unless we want to go with the transaction app or something. I don't know. There's a million ways to do it.
Cool. That's my question. Thank you.
And the way I've illustrated it here is that the reward systems committee, or how I interpreted your doc as well, is that they have only like really a few responsibilities. The reward system committee, they set the parameters for praise and Sourcecred, and also collect feedback from the community, and if needed, there is a vote to change a parameter or something. But they are responsible for managing the instances and setting the params. And then the quantifiers do most of the work, and or Sourcecred, which is automatic. And then at the end, that committee, they do request the funds from TEC, the funds that will be distributed, and they approve the distribution. And basically, that's it for the rewards committee.
And they would also buy TEC tokens in the bonding curve if we decide to distribute contact tokens, but then that we'll have to vote on, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder how we'll be able to do that. Like if we can make that automatic somehow, or will it be manually someone having to take that whole sum and like put it through the bonding curve and then re-import it back into probably another spreadsheet when it's converted into TEC. Anyway, that's more technical stuff. But
Yep.
did you talk about whether or not to distribute DAI or TEC, Libby?
No, yeah, I think that's an open question we would have to vote on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be really cool to distribute TC.
Yeah. So this is what we were talking about the other day in the phone call. It's like, do we want to reward praise in DAI or TEC? And we kind of favored TEC, but then how do we get it, you know? So we would actually have to take the DAI that's been allocated and use that to buy from our bonding curve TEC.
Yeah.
At the price, at the market price.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the reward system will get the initial buy, right? And get a nice fat stack. And then the TEC price will mathematically go up because all the tokens are locked after that, which is kind of cool. Most projects can't say that, but all the tokens we mint will actually be locked. So the price can only stay the same or go up, even if no one buys, because no one can sell. So we should end up with a good deal on TC tokens to start. And then after that, when we do re-ups, it's really nice for the, I mean, the original design of this system was that every time the conviction voting pays out, it sends it to the bonding curve, buys tokens, and then you get the tokens out. And that's a module I want to build for sure post-launch. So that's so easy. But I think it's easy enough to just have the money go to a trusted actor who then just goes and buys into the bonding curve and then sends it to the reward.
Ideally, it'd be
So
cool.
maybe we won't even.
Go ahead, Livy. It would be cool just somewhere down the road to have that, like a contract, like when the DAI comes in, just swaps it and returns it back into the DAO treasury.
That's the original design.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like if that is, sorry, I'll go quick and I'll pass to you to it. If that is in the works, then maybe we don't even need to think about that proposal, but focus on the reward system making the initial buyout. And then when those funds run out, then we make another proposal for how that will happen. But maybe by then we'll have this module installed already.
I doubt we'll have it by then. It'll take time. It'll take a decent amount of time.
Livy, for what you're saying, just a suggestion. If there's going to be an initial buy that is going to be funding the reward system, just as a gaming prevention measure, I feel that yes, this could be done in TEC tokens, but if it's pegged to the wrapped XI price, it could prevent just like people. I mean, if there's like a price right now and then it does like 3x for the next distribution, I don't think that people should get the same amount of TEC. So if there's any way in which, while we figured this part out, that could be pegged, I feel that could prevent some.
It's the DAI value. It's the DAI value of the allocation, right? So the DAI value will be there, and then we change it for the current market price, right? So it's not a fixed amount of TEC, it's a fixed amount of DAI, if that makes sense to you. So they're not getting like triple the amount of TEC, it's still relative to the same amount in DAI.
I think that's what he's saying.
All depends on the formula we choose to design in the distribution calculation step, and that is also one reason I propose that we keep that step in Google Sheets for now, because that will allow us more flexibility to make really quick changes without even doing any programming. And then once we have a model that is set, then we can move that into programming and make it part of the praise system if we like. But we are running out of time. I just wanted to show you quickly the last thing I've been doing in preparation for this call is to try to do a sort of a story map of all the different some of the different features that we think that this system will have, and for the developers and everyone on the team going forward, with this we need to basically we need to schedule a sprint planning meeting, and we need to pick stuff from this this board and choose what we will focus on the coming 2 weeks. So let's schedule that. I will ping you all and find the time early next week. But before that, please have a look at the board and see if I have missed something obvious or add stuff. It's a sort of compartmentalized in 3 different, so like overall, like really overall functionality. It becomes more and more granular. The yellow ones are the big chunks, and the green ones are a little bit more detailed, and then the bluish ones are the most detailed. We don't have to make it super detailed.
Can I ask a super fast clarifying question? This is back just a touch further. Where does the how do you quantify? How do you guys quantify the Medium posts? Like when people write Medium posts and things like that. Where do you? Because I saw Twitter was on there, and I wonder if like that's another thing that is tracked that way, or if I don't know.
And the short answer is that is up to the quantifiers. We give them now. It seems like we're not going to give them strict rules, but more of guidelines. So that these are the kind of things we usually praise, and it will be up to us all to find out how much does the community value Medium posts, I guess. So the whole praise system is sort of like an emergent property. We can analyze it afterwards and see what did the community find valuable.
So, sorry, just to remind myself again, what are the electoral process or the appointment of the quantifiers? Because they sort of have the they're like being the delegated authority of.
I can answer that, Mark.
Yeah, please, yeah, sorry.
So basically, it's going to be an opt-in pool. So basically, in my head, I was thinking exactly how Celeste chooses keepers. So it's an opt-in system. You get added to like a big list, and then automatically you pull randomly from a pool.
Okay, like sort of like is it based on your stake?
Nope, totally random.
It's a random. Okay, that's cool.
Random, yeah.
Huh.
Just like drafting a jury, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not like election. Okay, that's cool. Thanks.
Oh, thank you all for coming today, and I'm really looking forward to going. Yes, starting some real development to sum things up. We have the basic facts that we need to be able to move on with the development. The reward system, the process is not 100% finished, but will be later today. The guidelines will be coming during next week, and we'll continue to develop.